Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? Monday morning, May 20th. And then it's your mind that has to be right. Then it's your mind that has to be right. Let me explain what I mean by that. Like the podcast I did this morning, right? And whatnot. The podcast I did this morning is about if the woman's mind ain't right, is walk away. And, a lot of fellas have already chimed in on it, and rightfully so. Everybody's pretty much agreeing she ain't right. But thing is, it ain't even so much about her mind as it is your mind. And it don't mean whether it has to be right or not. But ultimately, when you dealing with not just women, but with life out here, it's about your value system. Your value system. And whether or not your mind is right. Because ultimately, that's what's going to get you through life. Now, one of my favorite quotes is, and I've read it a couple times, not only on this channel, but on my woman's channel, is from a work of fiction, ironically. Midnight, a gangster love story written by Sister Soldier. Anybody a fan of that know Midnight was first introduced in a classic urban book, which really started the whole genre, in my opinion. The Coldest Winter Ever. And Midnight, he was like that drug dealer, but he had a value system to him, and eventually got out of it. And then Sister Soldier followed that up with a 3-book series, waiting for book 4 if she ever get around to it, about him. But there was a kind of a monologue Midnight had in the first book, and he was talking about how these women went crazy over his physical presence and everything. They liked how he looked. They liked that he had a dangerous element to him, all that stuff. But he said, all that doesn't really matter. Only thing that matters is his ideas, his actions, his value system, really. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but that's really all that matters. See, a lot of times y'all have heard me going in on the whole looks, money, and status thing. That's because at best those are lures. But that don't speak to who you are as a man. See, you got some guys, the looks thing, shoot. If you're talking about consensually good looks, well, shoot, that's largely genetic. Yeah, you can do some grooming and shit, but that's largely genetic. And then if you talk about money and status, well, shoot, drug dealers got money, and they got some type of status. Yeah, and shoot, forget them. The biggest drug dealers, some of these pharmaceutical, whoever and got America hooked on opiates. Shoot, having money don't mean you got character and all of that. And I know some people say, well, women don't care about character, but fuck women in this occasion. It's on you. Your mind has to be right. And if your mind is right, that sets the tone for the type of woman that deals with you. I debated whether to share this, but I'll say in the last month or so, I'll say in the last couple of months, there was a woman I was kind of dealing with. Perfect woman. But philosophically, we had some irreconcilable differences. And so I had to kind of, part ways. It hurt. She was perfect, man. Shit, she was perfect. But, on some philosophical things, I couldn't compromise, and really couldn't ask her to compromise, her value system. And that's what it got to come down to. See, a woman, let me tell you what, I talked about the crazy women, women ain't being right. I've talked about it a few times, but sometimes a woman can be perfect for you, but your value system is different. She could be a good woman, but if you got an abundance consciousness and she got a poverty consciousness, there's going to be issues. If, you pray 5 times a day and you're a Muslim and she's a fundamentalist Christian, there's going to be issues. Or if one of you is atheist, there's going to be issues. If you feel economically, man, I'm just getting out my workout chest today, man. I'm still feeling that pump in me. Should have calmed down a bit. But economically, if you feel like, hey, look, you need to be working a whole bunch of hours during the day, like to live a certain lifestyle, but she feel like, hey, you know what, she wants somebody in the home, that could be an issue. I remember, and I've talked about this woman before. This one was perfect. This one was perfect. We dealt with her a few years ago. That's a few years ago, about 20 odd years ago. Perfect. Would have made a perfect wife. Would have been good. Children would have been beautiful. I mean, this woman was a nun without makeup. Without makeup. So she put on a little bit, boom. Shoot, wanted a family. But I had greater ambitions. And she just wanted something, she just wanted a plain life. Average life. There's nothing wrong with that, but that wasn't me. Especially at that time, I had political aspirations. So I said, okay, you had to let them walk. And see, that's the thing. Ultimately, it ain't about how crazy the women are. The women going to be crazy. It's about your value system, what you believe in. I mean, what do you value? And is that woman reflection of that value, or is she somebody that is diametrically opposed to that value? That's the main thing. See, ultimately, men have to value their stuff. Now, somebody said on a recent video, and somebody said, oh, you advocating homicide. And it was something I said, being willing to kill for your principles. Now, for the remedial, that don't mean you literally just kill, because the person used the word homicide. Principles mean, if your principle means you're going to defend the freedom of your house no matter what, that's righteous. That's righteous, and that's how your principles have to be. If somebody were to try to force me to worship God a different way, or to do something against my principles, well, I'm slitting their throat. And just as an aside, before anybody comment, listen to the whole video and then consider the context. Because I can't stand folks like that. I can't stand it. Seriously, that's a pet peeve. Because that means you're not looking at the whole situation or taking stuff into context. Because some people want to get on a soapbox and just talk. That's like stupid to me. Look at the context, because to me, any man, I'm going to tell you what, your principles have to be so strong in you that you're willing to die for them. And if you don't have it, you either A, don't really have any strong convictions, or you're not really a man. Yeah, I said it. You gotta be willing to do whatever to defend them. Like if somebody came, like say some foreign power came in this country and said they going to convert you to devil worship, I'm quite sure most of y'all be ready to fight. At least I hope you would. I hate to think somebody wouldn't do that. But that's the nature of principles and values. You got to respect them. Even if you got to walk away from beautiful women, man. I don't care. She can be perfect. But if that woman doesn't reflect your values or doesn't support them or is diametrically opposed, what's the point? Because remember what I said in the podcast this morning. Remember what I said. A woman's nature is to try to plant seeds in your mind. That's what they do. So whenever I encounter a woman and she trying to go in a different direction, I'm like, damn, she was fine too. But you got to be that way. You got to be that way. You just got to walk away. I said, I'm going to be nice. I ain't going to run people over. It's like when I run it over, I edit those parts. But yeah, that's how you have to be. No ifs, ands, and buts. You got to be willing to stand up on whatever your principle is. That's just life. That's just life. And when you're dealing with a woman, she has to be a reflection, because if she's not, what you going to do with her? Like I said, getting back to the whole looks, money, and status thing, what that got to do with your personal values? Shit, you don't need a value to make money. Hell, I would have been a millionaire. Hey, I would have been a millionaire if I decided I was just going to do some videos and books and stuff telling women some bullshit. But I had some principles. Because even if I'm talking to them, I'm going to give them the real shit. Or, I could do anything. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but I could do to make money. But that's what the reflection is. That's who I And man, whatever I do, whatever springs forth from me has to be a reflection of my values. That's the most important thing. See, too many dudes, it's funny. Too many men are getting caught up on calling women shallow and shit, but ultimately, what you got beyond that surface shit? If I take away your looks, and if you got looks and you put on 50 pounds, and I take away, somehow you lose that money, and with that the status, what you got then? I'm gonna tell you what. As a man, I don't give a fuck what anybody say. I will argue with anybody. As a man, you got to be able to stand in front of somebody with nothing on but a t-shirt and some sweats maybe, and they still recognize you as a man. Because that other stuff, that's neither here nor there. In fact, money ain't even that's really an idea. Because what you consider a million here, or maybe like, let's say like some so-called third world country, $1,000,000 there might be $1,000 here. So that value changes up. Shoot, the value changes every day. You can't stand on that. Status depends on the person, and even looks is really subjective. Even looks is subjective and cultural. But can you stand up as a man? Can you go any place on the world and be a man based on your principles? That's being a man, your value system, what you believe, and what you're willing to do to protect those things. That's what it means. So your mind has to be in a certain place. And then when your mind is in a certain place and women present themselves to you, you can look at them and say, okay, does she reflect what I value? Because for every man, a woman, what you need to reflect what you value. Every man. But see, you got too many men out here, they just want to, she cute or something. Man, she could be evil as hell. And she totally opposed to it. In fact, I've known so many dudes got with some woman who was really against their values, and they messed up for it. Because like I said, I'll tell you what, a woman, I don't care how strong a man you think you are, that woman's spending all her time trying to pull you in her direction. So my logic is, if I'm going to deal with her, she got to be somebody already going in my direction, where I don't have to like convince her. It's like, these are my ideas. You get with those ideas, baby? Well, no, I don't. Oh man, you were cute too. Have a good life. Good luck finding what you're looking for. And that's how a man has to be. Your mind has to be right first. Every man need to decide on what he gonna do with his life, what he believe in, what he represents, and then actually everything else stems from that. How you make your money stems from that. Even how you look, because your look is really a reflection of your spirit. But that gets into some deep metaphysics. But I give you a little clue with that. Even like working out and stuff, that's a reflection of what you got inside. Your status. Ultimately, you got to work to that status. So, but the way people talk about all that stuff, they ain't really thinking about it. But even then, it has to be whatever your values are. Even if I don't agree with them personally, or anybody else agree with them, you got to know what you got up here, what your spirit is. Your body will change. Circumstances change. Circumstances change like that. Shit. So make sure your mind is right, and then you can evaluate the woman better. Because if your mind ain't right, you'll go for anything. You go for that fat butt and pretty smile, because you didn't have anything you were standing on, the principles. So anyway, I rambled on enough, man. But I'll just say this, man. Fuck all the bullshit out there, measuring faces or watching celebrities, man. You come down to what you got up here, really what you got here. That inner shit. It's that inner strength, that inner power, man, that spirit, man. Because if you don't got that, you don't stand for something, you're willing to kill for, man, you're already dead, man. You're a zombie. Real talk. Real motherfucking talk, man. That's what it means to be a man.